Hello and welcome back to round one coverage of the Play It Again Sports Jonesboro Open. We're here in Jonesboro, Arkansas, playing the disc side of heaven course on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You're watching JomezPro with Nate Sexton, Jeremy Koling, and Paul Ulibarri.
That front nine, we saw a special performance from Calvin Heimburg. Two really huge putts, but a lot of really great throws as well. Gannon Buhr should be right there with him. A very short, uncharacteristically short missed putt on hole one, but other than that, him and Chris Dickerson right behind Calvin, leading the way at 6 under. They're both at 5, and Paul the unfortunate stretch of 5 and 6 with both double bogeys. Other than that, he's throwing the disc well too. He's got 4 birdies on the front nine, but this back nine opens up a lot of scoring potential on these last 9 holes.
Starting it off on 10, par 3, low ceiling, 360 feet with a little bit of rise at the end, but a drop off behind the basket. Forehand is a common play, but I think even more common is that fairway driver, low up the middle, try to take the little anti-skip to the right.
They almost always get this little counter skip. If you can miss
This
that
is too
log,
low.
But this hillside is just perfect for that counter skip right to the basket. It's actually one of the strange holes that requires a skip that favors a backhand that goes to the right.
Yeah, because of that upslope. And that the rough just to the right of where Calvin landed is...
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, that's
So
perfect.
good.
But that rough to the right of that log,
Yeah.
full on bogey town. Like
Yeah.
if you could bogey from 60 feet if you're in there.
I like this play from Gannon. The only thing is if you throw it too hard, you can get a major skip to the right.
Counter
It's like
skip.
an ace run.
Oh,
Yeah.
counter
That
skips
is
to
perfect.
Park City, Utah.
Almost no skip at all. That was fantastic.
And I saw that all day in round one. This shot right here in years past gets that big skip. Now watch this thing. Just the hillside collects the disc. Maybe it's the soft ground from all the rain. Maybe it's just really great angle control. But either way, Park job for both Chris and Gannon now.
I think it's the angle control. I think he hits with just enough angle to move right, but not the kind of edge that's going to give you the running skip. That was incredible.
And it looked like that might have been the ace run from the crowd's perspective, but Paul just narrowly avoiding getting all the way through that clean. He's going to have circle's edge for the birdie.
He needs this in the worst way right now with the rest of
Oh,
the
yeah.
competitors on the card are all going to be tied for the lead if you look at those front 9 scores through this stretch of holes. With Calvin leading at 6 and then 5s behind him, now they're going to be getting to 6.
Great outside the circle putt for Paul to start off this front 9 with a birdie. That is a pretty severe downslope behind the pin, so that can be a bit of a scary run from outside the circle.
How lucky are we that the first round we have possibly if he can make this? Oh, look at me go.
Look at that go.
Don't.
Oh my gosh.
Those are the worst ones. Oh, that's even worse. Never mind.
Yuli,
Don't blame that one on me.
I
That
don't.
was Jerm.
you guys.
He better make this one, otherwise
he's
it's on
all right.
you. All right.
That was a really slow roll. And I mean, nothing we can really say other than surprising misses for these guys. The wind is there, but it's not that bad.
We foreshadowed this a little bit on the front 9. That wind will most likely be dying down before too much longer, but certainly by the time they're playing 16, 17, 18, that wind will not be as much of a factor as it is right now.
Yeah, and the details matters because you can't be missing those short putts, but these guys are, and they are leading the tournament. That's how well they're playing, so don't think that you have to be perfect out here. You just have to be really good. Hole 11 par 4, 560 feet. Dog leg to the left, and then the typical play is going to be a spike forehand into this green. Sometimes you'll see that backhand Annie, but that's going to be really tough with the wind today.
They didn't do away with that with the oh, you're talking about for the approach.
For the approach, yep.
Yeah, because back in the day, Simon used to go backhand Anheuser off the tee. That was the prime days of the Simon line.
That's a nice throw right there. That's perfect. Might even be able to see it from there.
That landing zone collects in a very muddy pit as well, and I think you're right. That is a little bit long of that muddy area that collects right at the corner, and this is even farther. And The more distance you get, though, the harder angle you have for that approach. That almost looks like that might line up better for the backhand anhyzer for Mcbeth.
This is pulled a little bit.
He's going to be
that's
fine,
fine, yeah.
I think. Is that around that last corner?
No,
It's not.
that's around
Okay.
the first corner.
Oh, okay. Yep. So that's in trouble. Easy par, very difficult birdie. That's the corner you're trying to beat, right up there. So Calvin will probably have a standstill forehand. And see what Chris is looking.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
boy.
good.
He's just going to chip. No, this is...
Is he trying to go back around everything or just get back to the fairway? I mean, is he going for the...
Whoa.
Okay. That is making lemons out of lemonade. That is reversing
I didn't know you
it.
could throw over those trees.
Yeah, using your imagination right there.
That's, I mean, yeah, I don't think we've ever seen anybody play that line.
Wow. And Gannon getting some help off the branch. Put a little backspin back to the bullseye.
Calvin, we know what side of the pillow you sleep on, buddy.
What does that even
Cold
mean?
side.
He's got that. People know what I'm talking about.
So Mcbeth gonna stay with the forehand. This can get a little tricky if you don't push it. That's perfect.
Almost dunks it.
You have to almost go long of the gap so high, and then the disc will stall, and Paul executed that perfectly, the veteran that he is. What if Chris walks away with a birdie here? Are you serious, folks?
That's cool.
That is so cool.
Really out of position, creative, and extremely powerful shot to get back in there with a putt. And it was risky, too,
Yeah.
because if he falls down in the middle of
Yeah.
those trees,
If he misses that putt, it's gone.
yeah.
I've never, ever seen anyone go backdoor hyzer for their second shot here. That is a first, and wouldn't recommend it to anyone at home. What a star frame.
Moving on to hole 12, par 4, 655 feet. OB area bisects the entire hole, so you got to get over it with the big drive, or you could play short. We're not going to see that on this video, I can assure you. But you need to get as far up this hill as possible. The approach is almost always blind, so the closer you can get, the better. Really, really sharp hillside, so it's a tough green to stick.
Gannon going flex down the inside line, just enough perfect hyzer to get back to that sweet spot. That should be a forehand up and over the hill. Great drive, and that's way up the hill. He gets so much power and distance for a form that doesn't necessarily have that really aggressive, powerful hit that we see with like players like Drew Gibson. I mean, even Mcbeth, you can really tell when he really powers up into his shot. Gannon just tall, uses his body in perfect timing to get that big distance.
I think a great example, we can just compare him to Calvin. Even Calvin has a very, very fast, compact whip there at the end where
That's another great shot from Chris.
Gannon,
Huge angle control.
yeah, Gannon uses that lag set.
Yeah, you see how fast that arm comes across on Calvin's swing, and you can relate that. That's clearly going to be big distance. You just don't quite see that with Gannon, yet he's up there with the longest throwers on tour, matching it with accuracy.
And he's 16.
And he's 16.
He's probably going to grow taller.
Yeah, he's going to be 8 feet tall.
Solid shot from Paul. You just barely want to clear that hill. Calvin looks like he's going to that rhino. Hovercraft your way up to the edge of the circle.
Scary putt. But left it on the good side of the tailwind right there, or the wind. Gannon forehand going backhand. This will get
Not-
slammed.
No forehand approaches, but the backhand does collect into the hill better, so can't really fault him for that. Spin choice.
You may have spoken too soon as we
Yeah, the
see a forehand approach.
backhand's not even an option from that height. And it's hard to get much closer than that even. You'd have to really throw like a Spikeiser. I think he tosses up the grass expecting a little bit of help from the wind, but now he's left with a scarier putt than he had on the last hole. And he goes for that one. And he's like, well, this crosswind didn't carry me, and now it's a tailwind, and it didn't drop my putt. What's going on right now? Man, something about Calvin's putt the last couple weeks. We saw it last week in Augusta. He was really putting well. He's obviously always a top contender when that putt is falling in the basket.
Don't look now, but
Yeah.
Mcbeth is now 3 under par after double bogey.
5 of the last 6. And Gannon just smoothly birdieing essentially every hole that you see on the bottom of the screen. 8 under now. Through 12, and with a 17-foot putt miss on the first hole. Gannon Buhr is an impressive player, folks. And you already know this, but he keeps proving that point.
I think none of us expected anything different than to see Paul Mcbeth fight with his back against the wall with the 2 double bogeys, but I just think probably 90% of the field, 2 double bogeys in the first 6 holes of the event is almost like a tournament ender in terms of hoisting that first place trophy.
Yeah.
Paul Mcbeth is not one of those guys and still has
this.
time to fight his way back.
Oh, and Gannon hits an early tree. Looked like a good, clean release, but there are so many things you have to miss if you go that inside tight line. It's not even the inside line. It's just the straight towards the pin line, but it's really a line that just developed over the last couple of years. It really wasn't that accessible 4 or 5 years ago. And just like there's nothing up there.
And this is a straight headwind, so this is playing a lot farther than it does typically. Those drives just to get anywhere near the circle are fantastic.
And 3 of the 4 going for the straight line. Chris looking like he missed his line inside, but getting away with it, creeping up to the edge of the circle. And so Gannon got far enough, so he's got the easy par. I couldn't quite see where his disc landed, but not a bad result. Surprised to not see more players go that hyzer. There's just nothing in the way.
Good effort there by Paul to get the right height. Watch out for that poison ivy, though.
And Calvin just an inch off of getting high enough to get over the rim for the bird. And it's looking like we'll have 4 pars here on 13.
Jonesboro, year in and year out, a really high finisher and worst rough in the world competition because,
Yeah.
like you said, it has everything. It has the poison ivy. It has the thorns. It has the ticks.
The ticks are bad.
It has just relentless little branches.
Wind, hills.
It's brutal, and that's okay. You know, it's like it's a really clear penalty to throw it into the rough. When people say natural OB, this is the kind of rough they're talking about.
Hole 14, one of the iconic holes on the tour, and especially out here at Disc Side of Heaven. This is a daunting par 3, 520 feet, and this tall grass area is all OB. There's really no true way to play this hole safe. If you do lay up short of the out of bounds area, you have a 250-foot approach. If you go for it and you don't hit your line, you're going to be way left or you're going to be in the woods way right. The only way to play this hole safely is to try to park it. That's not going to be easy. This is where Casey White infamously coined tilt, baby, going the big spike hyzer forehand over the rough. But that's essentially showing you what you have to do if you miss the shot left. As Gannon has done.
Does this have enough anhyzer? He's going to need a good kick now.
And that should be close enough to the good side of the basket. He should be able to pitch some sort of putter through there, but he's not going to have a look for the birdie, I can imagine. Looks like
Needs help. Okay.
it's one of Calvin's new
That was weird.
Halo Destroyers. So he went very low with Anheuser, looking like a potential trouble, but that's stable enough to flatten back out and get a decent skip. Chris not going with Buzz this time. Not
It looks
possible.
like it needs help too, but I guess that means it's going to be parked. Yep.
Yeah, it would have been if
Could
it
have been.
missed that last grouping of evergreens. Let's see what Gannon has to get creative. How is he going to attack this one to try to save his par? Well, not too difficult.
Well, this is telling us that Paul is actually closer than Chris here.
All right, he might have a look for the bird. Chris low now on the last two putts, high on the one before it, but he's had a look for birdie on almost every hole.
You see how rough
Yeah.
that is over there.
One of the best putters from the rough the game's ever seen. So if he's hitting anything, you know that there's essentially no line. And Calvin, this is just a dream birdie. Hitting this line perfectly is something that you dream about thinking, oh, I'm going to Jonesboro, Arkansas. My mind immediately goes to hole 14 just because of how beautiful throwing over this valley is.
Right. And then you get there and then you're like, oh, it's so far to clear the out of bounds.
And I empty my bag. I've lost a couple of discs, and my closest drive is 42 feet short.
Hole 15, par 3, just 270 feet without much in the way. This is probably as must get as you're going to see out on this course. Elevated basket this year and still a bit of a slopey green, but it's just an overstable mid or fairway driver thrown out wide.
It's 2.5 average, like you said, the easiest hole in the course. The only reason it's not lower, oh my goodness, ace run city for Calvin, but that's going to be, he's going to have to work for the must get birdie now. Only reason that 2.5 average isn't lower is just because the wind today, earlier groups are having to play in a little bit more gusty conditions, and also it's just elevated this year.
And these guys are just whiffing these aces, and obviously if they hit those, the average would be way lower. See if this guy whiffs too.
We have seen so many over the years on this hole. Simon Lizotte, Garrett Gerthy, and then last year's flashback match play, Thomas was able to remake the Garrett Gerthy filmed ace for Jomez. Paul with a little bit more of a traditional play, just park it. It looks like Chris is going to try to follow suit and do it even better.
I like those plays a little lower so it doesn't get caught up in that wind, take a gust, and then you're left with this circle's edge putt. Because you can kind of throw it in that hillside.
And Gannon off the cage. That could have stood up and rolled, but fortunate to stay close. Well, you expect to go 3-2 on 14-15, but not in that order.
This isn't a gimme either. Good putt.
It is when you're Paul Mcbeth and you had back-to-back double bogeys on the front nine.
It's weird how that would make you just become a better putter.
It doesn't make sense to me, but it does to him over and over. And suddenly he's putting together a good round. It's not just playing catch-up. He's, a mistake away from being right there on these guys' heels. And Chris, even with 3 missed putts in a row, he is right there at the top, 7 under par. Awesome.
And this is one of the most interesting holes on the course from a scoring perspective, being a par 5 and a short one at just 855 feet. These guys are thinking of playing for an eagle 3 here. If you can get a good drive to have any kind of angle to cross, all these players will try to cross in 2 if they can. Hopefully set up a putt for that eagle 3.
Key is to get this drive wide enough, and so when it gets to this flat, it takes that skip left.
Yeah.
Just like this. I mean, that's
whoa,
so insane.
that's so far.
Unbelievably far.
I could be mid-range into the green from there if he's unobstructed.
Yeah, he might be obstructed, but that shot just bit off 530, 540. That's a more typical type of play, trying to get way left. I'm kind of trying to figure out where the catch cam angle is right now because these drives look like they're insanely big.
Well, Paul's was. Chris's is like underneath and on the left side of the one tree in the fairway. Calvin's going to go short left of that tree, but a nice little forward roll, so maybe even with it. It's all going to be about whether he has the ceiling, the room to take that spike hyzer up and over the water.
I mean, I think all of these drives are going to be just really good.
I like this one.
I do too.
Gannon's got the distance at first, and now it's got that late fade past the tree. That right there is how you set yourself up. That is perfect.
Low ceiling looks like. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it just is. What are you giving?
Oh,
Calvin
man,
whacking
really?
his upper body on the branch.
Oh, it's
Skipping.
no.
Oh, no. Hitting dry land, but not crossing the OB stake, and that's going to bring him to the drop zone on the short side of the water. What a tough break to get on land and be out of bounds.
What?
And Chris
no.
just coming up
That
short.
was a really strange one because I think he had a great line.
Yeah, you can make that mistake to go deep even from there pretty easily.
Look how good of a line Gannon had. Okay, he's going to be safe. But that little bit of foliage there at the top of the tree is going to cost him tons of... oh, my gosh. Look, I just can't... What on earth are you doing that close to the pin, Paul? I've never seen anyone... That's where people who throw bad drives throw their layups too. That was an insane drive.
This is Calvin from the drop zone, and it looks like he will be able to salvage par.
Dickerson now has a perfect line to follow.
And he's got a bogey-free round that he's got to clean up here with this par save. And should be able to keep that clean round going. It's not going to feel clean after that missed approach.
Oh, no way. So close.
That's brutal. Absolutely brutal. So Gannon from 45. Oh, wow. What a putt.
How do you get that much snap on it?
Especially from the knee. Under the... Jeez, that's great.
I feel like he's quickly becoming just a legendary putter from the knee. Mm-hmm. Like we've seen a lot already this year.
Wow.
He's 10 under.
No. Oh, a lot of chains there. Paul, a little bit left side. That's going to...
Was it, or did it just kind of...
Yeah. Oh, gosh. It hit up.
It got just spit out of there.
That should have stayed in. But Paul, going to be happy to take another birdie into hole 17. That'll get him to 5 under. And Calvin's just got to be sick to his stomach right now to get across the water, having to play that provisional, just hoping that part of the disc is across the line.
Focus. Get rid of any of those pressure thoughts and really center yourself, like where you're at and the shot you're throwing, trying to just really let everything besides the basket bleed away.
Hole 17, par 4, 660 feet. Great look at it here with the out of bounds down the left side the whole way and the late corner. Really popular play here is the Anheuser Flex because you really want to push to the right away from the fence early in the flight and then swing back so that you can get around that corner and play the downhill shot to the green. Definitely need at least 400 feet off the tee here to have much of a play for birdie.
Yeah, 400 is like minimal.
Yeah.
I think this is old.
A little, yeah, too much turn. Had enough height. I was worried about the height at first, but if that had a little bit less turn, that could have been a really special drive, actually.
You hear Paul say, get down.
That's a no
It looks like
danger.
it's doing that.
The good thing about this OB line is that it is so thickly strung with branches and grass that if you're throwing it low like Paul just did there, you're not likely to go through that barbed wire fence OB.
This looks a little... no, I thought I was going to say short, but he kind of got the scoot.
And see, look at
Hopefully
that.
he got saved.
All that speed going into that, and it's just hitting a brick wall, essentially.
And with the barbed wire, you're going to get 2 meters relief, which really comes in handy when you're trying to throw that next shot.
And a lot of that stuff on that left side is thorns, so good thing you get that 2 meter, not just the barbed wire you're concerned
This
with.
is a
Whoa.
dangerous play here.
Whoa.
Wow.
Why did I hear the disc hit the ground like it didn't hit a tree? What? That was a great and fortuitous result.
This takes so much skill right
Yeah.
there.
Playing-
Just body
yeah.
control, lower body strength, core, to be able to just kind of guide that all the way down there. Oh, man.
It's not even a good break that he stayed in bounds. It just would have been a bad break if he didn't. I mean, it's just you can reliably play that shot and expect it to get that result every time. Chris, a little bit of heat on that approach. Inside the circle still. Or maybe just outside, but inside 35 feet.
Cut roller. It's almost impossible to cut it enough.
You have to almost shape your roll like a U-turn.
And that can be kind of tricky back there, as we see. Look at what he's got to go with now. To the knee with a little flex. Not as bad as it could have been. If you go a little bit farther,
Yeah.
really not a lot of options.
And Calvin inexplicably has, well, not quite a birdie look, but he's going to give it a little bit of a bid.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
a lot of bit of a bid.
That's an amazing shot from where he was.
No
To
kidding.
throw it, but to pull it off is incredible.
What?
Little
Left side?
Yeah, little left
Okay.
side there.
I thought it was right side, so I didn't understand how that got through. Okay, so left side, that makes sense. Paul with a great birdie. He's going to be the only birdie on the card.
And he's
6
at
under.
6 under.
That's what I'm
gosh.
saying.
Wow. What a fighter. I mean, hole 6 is one of the easier holes on the course, and to think that he took a double bogey on it, that turns into a 2, and we're looking at 9 under. 2's hole 5. He's at 12. I mean, it's those double bogeys affect you so quickly, but man, he is doing a great job of turning this into not just a salvage round, but a good round of disc golf.
Hole 18, par 4, 818 feet. One of the tighter windows right off the tee that we have on the whole course. The fairway is narrow. There is out of bounds left. There's out of bounds right. Throw it as far as you can. Try to get around this little bunker set of trees in the middle. Out of bounds right going up to the green. One of my favorite hole 18s
It's phenomenal.
in the world.
When hole 18 is the hardest hole in the course, but it's a hole as good as this one, it's just It's sick. It's just it sets up for such a good finish potentially.
Wow, that is such a flippy disc. I did not like how high and hyzer that was, but it just turns and rides all the way down.
Oh my good. I thought well, it's silly for me to think that he just shanked his shot, but it looked a little shanky out of his hand. Ended up being perfect.
Gannon gets a little bit off with that sidearm. Looks safe, but that's going to be really tough to save a par from there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work in front of him.
Chris, a little overturned perhaps. Needs a sneak through. It's fine.
Ooh, I don't like the footing. There is some really rough spots in the course, and right side down the fairway on 18 is one of them. We saw some drives from Calvin last year. Calvin and Ricky that were just getting up to the gap.
He touched something there, and it didn't matter at all.
Just once again, he's going to have an obstructed look. I don't know what he'll be able to manufacture from that spot, but to get that much distance through that gap, it's like he doesn't see that there's a gap. Everyone else is thinking, all right, got to get through this gap. How can I do that safely and try to get a little bit of distance? He's still thinking, how can I just throw it far? He's bypassing a huge part of the game.
Gannon throws a fantastic standstill upshot from there to get in position to save that par that we were talking about.
Oh, how aggressive can Chris be from down here?
I'd say fairly aggressive. Oh, no, smackdown.
Is it OB? No, he gets not. That's fortunate. Knocked down early enough.
Now Paul, after that insanely good flippy drive, he's got the left side to get up and down to shoot a 7 down potentially. He's got to make a putt from the bottom of the hill if that's inbound. Okay, it is.
Wow.
Gannon doesn't like it, but he's going to have a putt.
So easy to leave that upshot short right there because you can see it. It looks short, but it's extremely uphill.
And Calvin has the low ceiling forehand.
A little too low, I think.
Yep. And another reason that approach comes up short, Paul, is there's that wide hanging branch off this tree to the right side of the fairway that doesn't really look like it's in the way, but you know that it's there because you see a lot of these shots that hang out wide as Chris parks his approach. He'll walk away with an easy par. If you hang your approach out too wide, so often that tree will catch your disc and drop you down OB. You can see that branch right there, just a little bit left of the basket right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Super dangerous. This hole just has all the best elements of a good hole.
And Gannon,
Oh,
heavy
man.
left side chains, and that falls out. That'll be his only bogey of the day, dropping him down to 9 under par. But on the other side of the coin, can Mcbeth make this? He can!
Ooh.
Just hanging on. And who would have thought, with Gannon's start
Look at this thing hang on.
and Mcbeth's start, that they would only finish 2 strokes apart? My goodness, how does that stay in on the backside of the cage? Incredible. And it wasn't like Gannon fell apart. He had an eagle, and
Yeah.
somehow Mcbeth just kept, wow.
Ooh, just sneaks that one in. Jerm, I need a stats comparison.
Okay, let's go.
I'm looking for total number of threes on 16
Yep.
versus total number of threes on 18.
Okay, well, total number of threes on 18 outweighs the number of threes on 16 by not by much. We had 11 players with a birdie on hole 18. You want to guess at how many eagles?
7.
7 is the right number.
Really? All right.
7.
But so I guess what the point I'm working towards is that you're looking at a fairly easy 5 and an extremely difficult 4.
Very difficult
And in
4.
terms, objectively, they're very similar in terms of how special the shot needs to be to get there in 2. Look at Alden Harris. Speaking of special,
Yowzers.
Have yourself a fire emoji. 2 shots clear of the field with the 11 under round. We're going to see him tomorrow. See what he does with the lead on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I don't think that's a position he's found himself in.
I'm so impressed with Gannon. That round, we could go through that back 9, and there was a stretch of some of the easier holes that he actually let get away from him. Plus the bogey on 18, he finds himself 2 back in second place. I mean, that kid's special.
Yeah.
We're watching him develop and turn into one of those guys when he kind of plays bad, not great.
He still shoots 9 down.
Still shoots 9 down, and that's a rare thing that we
Yeah.
see. We see people have those hot rounds and those good rounds, but it's becoming to where like his bad rounds are those great rounds.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to the Founders Club from Jonesboro, Arkansas. 1:45 in the morning. We'll see you around.
Get those wobbles out.